Hello, everybody. I'm going to run through a couple of hands that we looked at on Thursday evening. Hands 3 and 4, the slightly more difficult hands. And that's just so that if you want to revisit them, if you didn't quite catch everything, you'll be able to go over them again. And I'll maybe do it slightly slower, but it'll still be a short video. And then also I want to add a few points that I forgot to make on Thursday. Okay, so I'm going to put you onto shared screen and put up the hands. So this is the first one. I'm not going to go through the bidding. We talked about it on Thursday. It is informative for declarer, so we will be taking that into account. North finished up in 3 hearts, and the 2 of spades was led. And now North should look at her hand and add up how many losers she's got. And you'll remember probably the business with the spades, although there's a possible 3 spade losers there normally, because the spade is led, the king is in a protected position, and therefore you only need to count 2 losers. The king will win whatever. If West goes up with the ace, the king will be promoted into a trick. And if West doesn't go up with the ace, then you're going to win the king anyway. So 2 spade losers. We looked at the hearts and decided there was 1 heart loser, the king of hearts. The diamonds, there's 1 diamond loser, 3 in hand, but 2 of them are covered by the ace king in dummy. And finally, there are 3 clubs. Okay, so now we move on to thinking about how can we dispose of some of those losers. We've got a total of 2 spades, 1 heart, 1 diamond, 3 clubs. That makes 7. We're in 3 hearts. That means we can afford 4 losers. That means we've got to get rid of 3 losers. How are we going to do it? Let's look at the hearts first, because that's probably the easiest thing, both because West has bid quite strongly and has got most of the points, and because she rebid no trumps. There's a very good chance indeed that she has the king of hearts. So it looks like we can negate that loser by taking a finesse. Okay, let's look at the spades now. So we've got 2 spade losers, and we decided that we could rough 1 spade loser in dummy. And then we can also discard a club on the king of spades, and that's going to enable us to rough 1 of the clubs. 1 of the 3 clubs in hand, we're going to be able to rough 1 of those in dummy, and that should be our 3 losers, and we should make the contract. Okay, how does the play go? You have to play the 9. West, in fact, went up with the ace. This 5 of spades goes. I'm going to hide the played cards, that's better. And then it's kind of the best return in a way. The 4 of hearts. I mean, you're not going to get rid of spade roughs by leading a trump in this circumstance, because there are 5 hearts in dummy. But never mind, a heart. Often a heart from the defense is good to try and reduce roughing value. Now, the best thing to do here is to allow that to run round to the 9, and then play the queen or the 10. It doesn't really matter. Again, it doesn't matter whether West goes up with the king or not. Let's do it like this. East doesn't want to throw diamonds because she wants to keep length with dummy's diamonds, so probably a spade, and then another heart, and we capture the jack. So our surmise was right. The king of hearts was with West, and we managed to pick it up. So we've got rid of 1 of our losers already, and we're now in hand. So we can rough a spade loser in dummy, but first let's just cash that king of spades and throw away the club. Not a diamond, but a club. That's going to enable us to get rid of one of these losers in dummy by roughing, because we've got 2 trumps here in dummy still. Okay. So that king of spades has given us a useful discard as well as being a trick. Okay, now we can rough that spade. Okay, so we've got rid of we've managed to negate the heart loser. We've negated one of the spade losers by roughing, and the king of spades has been used to discard a club from dummy, and that's going to enable us to rough a club in dummy. So basically, we're going to make our contract quite happily. Can we make any extra? We're in dummy now. There's no point trying to finesse the diamond. I talked about that on Thursday. If you played the jack, if the queen is with East, East is going to play it, and you've only got 2 diamond tricks. You've still got a diamond loser. And of course, if West has the queen of diamonds, you're going to lose it anyway. So the best thing to do is to actually play for the drop. And that 10 looks quite promising. Remember that West bid no trumps, has got a lot of points. So probably the chances are that she's got the queen of diamonds, and it may be a doubleton, which in fact it is. So now you've got a diamond trick as well. You've evaded a diamond loser, which is wonderful. And now you're going to give away a club. Unblocking the clubs there. 2 clubs, and now you can rough a diamond in hand and a club in dummy. So that worked out really well. 7 losers, and you managed to get rid of 4 of them by using a finesse, by a roughing in dummy, and by creating by discarding in dummy, and then subsequently you were able to use that discard to rough as well. And then finally the queen of diamonds dropped. So you managed to get rid of 4 losers. Okay, so this is hand number 4, the second of the more difficult hands. And again, I'm not going to talk about the bidding. We discussed that on Thursday. We talked about assessing hands for preemptive openings, and then how to calculate whether you should raise and by how much, and so on. So I'm just going to deal with the play and the business of losers. So in this case, South led the queen of clubs, and we took stock and counted up our losers. We decided that we'd got 1 spade loser because we've got 3 losers in hand, and only 2 of them are covered by the ace king. We've got the king of hearts, which is clearly a loser. We shouldn't have the loser in diamonds, and we shouldn't have the loser in clubs. We've only got 2 clubs, and we've got the ace king. So we're going to have to get rid either of that spade loser, or we're going to get rid of the heart loser. In fact, on this hand, you can do both. And that was my error. When I played it, I managed to make the contract, but I didn't capitalize on an error from the opposition. So how are we going to get rid of that? We looked at the possibility of taking a finesse. So this might go like this. What we might think about doing is leading the 4 of clubs after we've taken out trumps and finessing the 10, hoping that the jack was with South. And we agreed that it was quite possible that South does have the jack, because South might have been leading the queen from queen jack 9, which would be a perfectly good, in fact, a very good lead. And we then talked about how we would probably reject that finesse in the first instance because we have a better line. If we lose the finesse, if the jack is with North here, North's going to win this trick, and then immediately cash the ace of hearts, and that's your contract down. So we don't want to really risk the club finesse. And for the same reason, we don't want to take the spade finesse and finesse into North's hand in case North has the queen of spades, which of course, in fact, she does. Again, if we tried that, North would then immediately cash the ace of hearts and we'd still go down. So we've got to do something else or give ourselves a better chance. And this is an example where we tried to capitalize on a long suit. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this point here. And actually what happened was trumps were taken out first. So everyone followed to the first round. So there must be 3-1 or 2-2. So that meant that I could afford to overtake the jack so that I don't have the business of trying to find another way of getting back into hand, which would carry some risk, take out the last trump and throw away a heart or a spade. It really doesn't matter very much. Okay. So now we've got everything set up to enable us to capitalize on these clubs. We have entries into dummy and we're able to rough clubs in our hand in order to promote this fifth club off 2 clubs if they break 3-3. So what we do is play the 4 of clubs. South should play low. We discussed how South actually put the jack on and how that can never be a winning lead. Just gives the game away and makes it easy for the declarer. So I will go up with the ace. Remember, I'm not going to take the finesse because of the risks that carries. Instead, I'm going to rough a club in dummy, rough a club in hand. Now, what we didn't discuss on Thursday was, many times people have said, don't rough in the long trump hand. Don't try and rough cards from dummy in your own hand. That it's not giving you any extra winners. And that's absolutely true here. You're not making an extra trick by roughing the 5 of clubs. It's not a loser in your hand. And this diamond is always going to win anyway. So you're not creating an extra trick just by doing that. Okay, so why are you doing it? You're doing it to try and get rid of the opposition clubs so that this club will then be promoted as a winner. Okay, and I just wanted to make that absolutely clear. So in order to develop this suit, you need to rough out the opponent's clubs. So you've got to have enough trumps in hand, but you also need to get back into dummy in order to be able to continue the roughing process. And then at the end, to get back into dummy to cash that final club. So here goes. So you've roughed that club in hand. That's not created an extra trick. All it's done is draw one of South's clubs. Now into dummy with the ace of spades. That's why you mustn't cash the spades. They're there as entries into dummy. Lead another club, rough it. And now the opposition are out of clubs. And you've got another entry into dummy. Don't take the finesse because you'll still go down. If you play the jack of spades and North wins with the queen, they can still cash the king of hearts, still cash the ace of hearts, and you'll lose 2 tricks. So go up with the king because this is now a winner and you can discard either your 10 of spades or your king of hearts. Okay. And now you can afford to lose a spade because you've got rid of the king of hearts. So of the two losers that you had in your hand, you could discard either one of those on the 10 of that 5th club and thereby make your contract. So now just concede the queen of spades. You've got 2 trumps left. So that's one of the points that I wanted to make that I didn't make on Thursday, the idea that sometimes it is advantageous to rough in your own hand if you are using it for an entry that you wouldn't have, or in this case, if you're trying to rough out the opposition cards to establish a winner in dummy, but in which case you also need the entries into dummy. Okay, the other point that I wanted to make and stress is that in one of the major ways that we get rid of losers is for the opposition to make mistakes, or to give the opposition like the opportunity to make a mistake. But then of course you've got to learn to capitalize on it. So in this case, an example did present itself, as you know. So what happened was this. Took out trumps. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to lead the 4 of clubs, and you remember when I did it just now, South played low, but actually in actual practice, South played the Jack of clubs, which we've discussed. I went up with the Ace of clubs. Okay, now I can catch the 10 of clubs straight away, throw away the King of hearts. So I've got rid of one of my losers now. I've already going to make the contract. But what I could have done was really capitalize on that mistake and make an overtrick, because I can still continue the process of roughing out the opposition clubs to establish the 5th club in dummy and discard from my hand. So I could have carried on by playing the 5 of clubs and roughing in hand. The opposition now no longer have any clubs. Can use a spade to enter dummy. I've now got the 8 of clubs. I can discard the 8 of spades. And now I've got the King of spades. And I've got rid of both my spade loser and my heart loser. And I've made one overtrick. Okay, so that wraps that up. Let's just going through those last 2 hands again, and obviously you can replay it yourselves and stop the recording at any point if you want to have a look at the cards and have a think about the number of losers and so on and so forth. And it's really good practice if actually you stop the video at the appropriate point and go through the process yourself of counting up the losers, working out how many losers you need to negate, and then thinking about how you're going to do that. So good luck with that, and I'll see you again shortly. Thanks for watching, and if you've got comments or questions or suggestions, please feel free to put those forward. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.